What's going on, good people? Man, we are into what I like to call the fourth quarter. That means it's June, July, and August. And y'all know I have been planting my Mountain View seed cultivars for the past 3 years. And this is what you're looking at back here in the back. And I must say, it's looking pretty doggone good for the fourth quarter. So if you planted Mountain View seed cultivars, or if you're thinking about planting some this upcoming fall, here's some information on those and some of these summer tips to help you get through with your Mountain View seed cultivars. And hey, maybe you planted some other varieties and you need some tips also. They'll work for those too. All right, let's get into this video. During this period of time, one of the most important nutrients, and I'm calling this a nutrient that you can put on your lawn, is water. Yep, that's right, I said it, water. So general rule of thumb is about 1 inch of water per week will get you to have sufficient moisture in your soil. But there's a couple of other factors that can go into how much water you may need. So if your temperatures are 90 degrees outside with 90% humidity, you may actually not have to water more than what you think, because with that humidity, your ET or evapotranspiration is going to be much lower. That means the plant is not going to lose as much moisture because it's humid outside. You can have lower temperatures with lower humidity and actually lose more moisture out of the plant, which would drive you to actually have to water more. So make sure you're taking some of those things into consideration when you're looking at the amount of water. But general rule of thumb, 1 inch of water per week will get you there. The next thing is going to be make sure you're doing an evaluation of your irrigation system or your sprinklers. So you want to know how much water you're putting down. I know the tuna cans are out there, the tuna can challenge, but hey, I just don't eat that much tuna, and I want something a little more precise than that. So you can pick up these irrigation measuring cups, as I'm showing right here, from Amazon. You can get a 10 pack for about 20 bucks. And then you can just place those out throughout your irrigation zones and throughout where your sprinkler is going to be going. And you can measure out exactly how much water you're getting down on your lawn. So if it takes you a half an hour to get a 1/2 inch of water in your cups to get to 1 inch a week, you just need to run that 30-minute cycle twice a week. And at that point, you've got your 1 inch of water that you need for the week. The next thing is you want to avoid watering during the hottest points of the day and in the late evening just before it gets dark. You don't want that moisture to be sitting on your leaf blades overnight, and you don't want to be watering during the middle of the day when it's just going to evaporate off of the leaf blade. So early morning, just before sunrise, is going to be your time, best times to water. I like to have my watering done before 8 or 9 a.m. I want to have all my irrigation off and already taken care of. So depending on what your irrigation cycle durations are is when you need to start that. Those are your watering tips to keep your lawn lush and green throughout this fourth quarter. This next one is one that's almost inevitable at some point in a cool season lawn throughout the summer, and that's disease pressure. It's one of those things that when we get hot, humid, and then you've also got moisture from your late evening thunderstorms that come through, disease pressure is going to be high in a cool season lawn. So one of the things that you can do is make sure you're getting your fungicides down, and not only are you applying your fungicides, but you're also rotating your frac groups. So as we talked about in the previous videos about our herbicides having different groups, that goes the same for our fungicides. We want to make sure that we're rotating those different fungicides as we make those applications. a lot of your most common fungicides are within that group 3 and group 11 frat code. So you want to make sure that you're looking outside of just those 3 groups to make sure you have an effective fungicide program. And if you do happen to run up against Pythium, you want to make sure you are using methanoxam and not using a propiconazole, a Cleary's, or any of those group 11 or group 3. They will not cure Pythium. From a curing standpoint, methanoxam is one of your go-tos to be able to cure that, also known as Subdue Max. So once you start applying your fungicides, you want to make sure that you are reapplying them at the correct intervals. So as you look at your label, a lot of those will depend on your application rate and also how severe your disease pressure is. From a preventative rate, a lot of times you can go on the lower end, and also if you have the environmental conditions that are not as favorable for disease pressure. But when you start to get into the 4th quarter, most likely you're going to be running up towards that higher rate. So also look at your reapplication intervals. A lot of those will range between 10, 14, 21, and 28 days for reapplication. So make sure you're paying attention to those to get the most prevention or curing out of your fungicides for your cool season lawn. So as we've talked about watering and also disease pressure and fungicides, I think this is a good time to bring in some of the benefits of choosing Mountain View seed cultivars and their A-list varieties that they have. From a tall fescue standpoint, they've got a number of them, and they also have them in their Kentucky bluegrass and also some of their other cultivars. So what is the A-list and what does it really mean? So the A-list is a community that has gotten together and has been testing a lot of the newer cultivars that are coming out to be more disease resistance and more drought resistance. So that is a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now in the 4th quarter. So as you're looking at those varieties, and whether you're choosing a Mountain View seed cultivar or another cultivar, make sure you're looking for if there are A-list approved. That way these seeds have been tested to have lower fungicide inputs, lower herbicide inputs, and reduce watering and fertilization. So in the long run, when you've got a lawn that's looking like this during the 4th quarter and the most challenging time periods of the season, you get what you paid for. All right, so make sure you're checking out Mountain View seed cultivars and their A-list varieties. Yeah, y'all caught a peep of what's behind me right there. So what's behind me right here is what we're gonna talk about next, and that's gonna be your mowing height of cut. I've got 1 inch right here, manually reel mowed tall fescue. Yep, that's right, 1 inch tall fescue in the 4th quarter, and it's looking pretty good. In my backyard, I actually cut that also at 3 inches. So both of those height of cuts are lower than what you would typically hear for a tall fescue cultivar. And that is true. From my personal experience, I've learned that the Mountain View seed cultivars tend to like to be cut a little lower. Sweet spot maybe in that 2 3/4 to maybe 3 inches, 3 1/4 is kind of where they like to be cut. If you're dealing with full sun, maybe you can go a little higher, but even in full sun, I think they'll do just fine at 3 inches, which is where I'm cutting my backyard. So what are the benefits of having that lower height of cut? One of the things is you get more airflow throughout the canopy of the turf. You also are able to dry out faster when you get those late evening thunderstorms or rain showers that come up. and therefore you're reducing the amount of disease pressure that is in your lawn by allowing it to be able to dry out. Another thing is my backyard is heavily shaded. I've got a lot of shade back there, and through my personal experience, I've learned that having a lower height of cut definitely helps with the things that I just named and the performance of the lawn in the back, being that it is heavily shaded. So the next thing with mowing is, hey, don't get out in the middle of the day or the hottest part of the day and mow your lawn. So that is gonna be the most stressful time for you to get out and cut your lawn. I understand life happens. You're not always able to get out in the evening times and mow your lawn, but if possible, try to avoid mowing your lawn during the hottest parts of the day, which is gonna cause the most stress on your lawn. As we go through this fourth quarter and during the summertime season, yes, your lawn will probably start to grow a little less. The growth rate will decline, but you want to make sure that you're regularly mowing and that if you are not getting rain, that you just stay off your lawn. If your lawn has gone dormant, there's no need to be out there cutting your lawn. But if your lawn is still growing, make sure you're continuing to mow regularly and follow the 1/3 rule that we've previously talked about as one of your cultural practices. Well, y'all, that's gonna wrap this one up. As you see, we've got the nice little real mode section back here behind us with the Mountain View seed cultivars as in the backyard. So hopefully these tips will help you get through the summer, and if not, there's always the fall. Once things cool down, make sure you're getting prepared for your overseeding. A lot of times about now is when I want to start pricing out my seed. Check out your local distributors and see if they're carrying the Mountain View seed varieties, or you can also find them online in a various different locations. As you're preparing and you're getting through this summer, make sure y'all enjoy it, enjoy your lawns, and hey, as I always say, just know we work.